What's up, NSL world? It's been a long time coming. Happy to get on. As always, our podcast, last minute, just thrown together how we like it, fast and loose. On another episode, I'm not even going to pretend to know what episode we're up to, but Smooth Klemm and Cornhill, breaking it down, the dynamic duo, the people's favorite, Corn Dog, C Dizzle, Corny, my man. How are
you? Bro. I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Look, we're really nearly at the midway point of the season. We've been pretty lazy. I don't think I'll put my hand up for anything related to participation or GM point related. I'm just sort of coasting. So we're at the halfway point almost. So I thought it was quite fitting to chuck down a pod. But we do need to do this more often. Look, we probably would have been doing it every week if we just organised ourselves and didn't just leave it to JJ just to try and get things rolling. So look, we've just we've cast aside old rusty nuts, and we're just taking it back to basics, back to old school. Two's company, three's a crowd anyway. We all know how that goes. But I think we'll jump straight into it. Plenty to cover. Just quickly, picked up a hardcore classic throwback. J. Will, White Chocolate, as the kids on the street call me. So it was quite fitting. But I'm looking tough as fuck. I'm sweating. I'm going to take this cap off, actually. I've got about seven studio / LED lights beaming down on me. Just because we're running a professional deal here, but I'm sweating like a fucking sweating like something that sweats a lot. But we'll jump into it. Look, I reckon just a quick rundown for those. We'll go through. Oh, look, bit of a shit talk, I guess, to begin with. We'll go through some of the trades. There has been quite a few, not as many as last year, but quite a few big ones. We've already had a GM departure and an old familiar face come back to the ranks in Melee. So I'm glad to have you back. No longer a boys club cesspool that we've just been writhing around in for some time now. We're going to do up the top button and get a bit more presentable for one of the OGs in Melee. So she'll set us straight, I'm sure. And look, we'll go through the trades. We'll go through regular season front runners, all the fun stuff, and maybe just sling some shit. We'll talk some surprises and or things that have gone as expected, in both conferences. Look, I'm on the fucking 8% Woodies, so who knows what's going to happen.
I've had a couple.
Oh, really? Oh, fuck, mate. We're all just a absolute raucous shit show we've got here. So, look, I guess a bit of an intro. Any sort of initial thoughts on the league or how things have gone, how your team's gone?
I touched on it in Discord the other day before the chat got off track, and I was just saying how, I think, from my point of view, I think the league's it's most competitive that it's been since I've been a part of it so far. And Pete kind of touched on it as well, but maybe the past couple of years I was just being naive because I was playing for lottery balls and wasn't actually paying attention to the win column and stuff. But I think as a whole, I
wouldn't know, but I mean, I guess it would happen. I
think as a whole, everyone's more competitive across the board. So I think it's in a good place right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of teams shot their shot and took advantage, myself included. A lot of teams, hit the mark and really sort of made some noise. Teams like myself shot their shot like always and just missed, spray and pray. That's my deal. So I'm just sort of toiling away. Apparently I'm meant to be winning, but we'll see. The playing participation ribbon, that everyone gets, that'll be welcome. And I don't know, man. If I don't make the play in, then I'm pretty sure I'll say I'll rage quit. I'm not going to rage quit, but I'll be pretty disgruntled, sort of thing. So so I think everyone sort of shot the shot. Everyone sort of realized they have to sort of taper their expectations, or some injuries here or there, yada yada yada. And a lot of teams are sort of playing the long game. And I think quite a good handful of teams have sort of set yourself included. Some other teams that come to mind, like the Cavs, Washington, Memphis, sort of thing. Like set themselves up well with some talented youth and guys that are impacting the game or in game now, but also they've set themselves up for a large window to compete. And I think just with the overall sort of trend for youth in the NBA, just the modern day era, guys are coming in just absolute killers. They're polished and they're and they're able to win straight away. So I think guys are getting a lot more out of their young stars than what they might have prior. So I think you're right with that one there. I remember saying this last year, like it being like a gauntlet sort of thing, especially out west, but it really is the case in both conferences. I mean, we're only looking at East. We're looking at 9 games separating 1 to 8, and out west it's 10 games sort of thing. So and Golden State is sitting 2 games above 500, and that's not even good enough for an 8 seed. And same deal.
And they've been a massive role lately as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. And they've copped a little bit with injuries. This sort of week or last sort of couple of weeks, but there's 7-3 over the last 10. Which matches sort of the better teams or sort of more hot teams out west, especially. Even sort of the Bucks are sitting 3 games above 500. They're sitting in the 8th spot. So it's tight. It's not very it's not very optimistic, or it's not very glass half full for myself. The inside on the outside looking obviously, but I've just got to beat OKC, which pretty much. It seems like deja vu from last season. Just got to beat OKC sort of thing, and then probably titles will just blow me out by fucking 70 again. So can't wait for that one there. But look, I reckon we'll just go straight into sort of regular season front runners, or just who we think are sort of right up there at the moment, or betting odds. Nell's bet would probably be the most appropriate, but. Look, we'll rattle it off. We'll go MVP. We'll start off with big guns first. We had a bit of a chat prior to the pod, and a lot of the names are sort of usual suspects type thing. But I don't know, rattle off your 5 or 6, front runners out in for MVP. As far as
I think my top 6 would probably be like LeBron, Luka, PG, Giannis, Harden, and then I don't even know what happened next. Like. I would have had him beat, but he's just changed teams, obviously. So I don't have him there just yet. But by season's end, I definitely think he'll be in the top 5 conversation.
Yeah. Well, he's had a good sort of 20-ish games of putting up sort of slightly inflated stats, sort of thing. So that'll sort of taper down a little bit, and it's obviously a pretty hard award for a big man to win. So. You're going to be looking at your Giannis, Curry, LeBron, Harden, Luka type guys, first and foremost. I think depending on wins as well, you could sort of throw a few smokies in there. Even sort of your guy, LaMelo Ball. You're sort of on the march, and only a couple games out of the top 2 or 3. So. I mean, look, LaMelo Ball is ranked 36 at the moment. He's going to make All-Star, you'd imagine. It's a little bit sort of I guess shallow in terms of elite guards out west. To go along with the wings as well. I mean, looking at it, it's nearly 18 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, sort of thing. He'd probably be more so front running for most improved, even in his second year, I would imagine. But you think he's going to be right up there for years to come. There's been Vidikas and Houston, depending on their wins. Joker's just pretty much the whole show out there. You got PG for Jesse, who if he stays healthy, he's putting up sort of 38 and 4 type deal. AD, I guess, depending on what Mauricio is doing. The other one that sort of might take you to surprise a little bit, not so much that I think he's going to win, but Rudy Gobert, he's ranked 10th in the league at the moment. And with Irving out, Bam's out for an extended period of time, he's pretty much just holding the fort down for Detroit, who are still just rolling along despite all the injuries and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, look, his numbers aren't jaw dropping, but you know what he does on the defensive end. And 8 points per game, 16 rebounds, 2.3 blocks. Sorry, that's preseason. No, that's trash. We'll try it again. So 16.6 points, 17.3 rebounds. Yeah, it's more like it. 1.6 assists, 1.5 steals, 3.1 blocks, 66% from the field. So he's dominating. He's probably the best big in the game at the moment. Right up with the fell, of course, mate. But other than that, look, usual suspects. I don't think you can really sort of go past any of those guys. You'd probably say LeBron is probably the front runner. Would you say that, or
I think so.
He's ranked number one in the NSL, and it's pretty clear why the Spurs are dominating so much. 30 points per game, 9 rebounds, nearly 6 assists, 1.5 steals, 1 block, 62% from the field. I mean, look, you'd be a fucking absolute fool to trade a guy like that, and not just ride his coattails to glory. So hopefully JJ doesn't do the dumb thing and trade him.
How many minutes is he averaging?
Probably only like 20 fucking 6 because they blow out every team.
That's what I mean. Like the numbers and the efficiency and stuff alone.
31.9.
That's more than I thought.
Yeah, true. I thought it might have been around 30. I would have been really surprised if it was sort of above sort of 32, 33. But I mean, he's sort of. I mean, I'm happy to. I'll see if I can sort of. Let's see. I mean, with the minute cap that the admin team and whatnot brought in this season, it's a little bit sort of harder to cheese on guys. You're normally not seeing guys playing averaging more than 33, 34. But I mean, if you sort of just factored out all those averages by like sort of 10%, like you're looking at 33, like 11, 7, like it's crazy, man. So you'd probably think LeBron's right up there with the being the front runner there. And it's probably Giannis, Curry, if once Clay comes back, if they storm up the standings, probably Giannis, Curry, and probably Luka are probably the guys that you'd think have any business being right up there with LeBron. But moving on, we don't want to spend too much time on it. We'll go defensive player of the year. I'll smash this one out, and you can take 6-man Corny. But defensive player of the year, look, it's always going to be big men, pretty much outside of guys like LeBron, Giannis, Kawhi if he's healthy type thing. But I had a quick gaze at sort of the best defenses in the league and just sort of picked and choose. From those teams, along with just the usual suspects. So obviously Embiid, Gobert, AD, Giannis will be up there. Guys that you might not be sort of thinking first and foremost. Obviously LeBron. There's probably 3 guys that could put their hand up over in San Antonio. But AD, depending on games, Valanciunas, bit of a smoky, I think, for yourself there, mate. He's absolutely killing it. I don't think your defense is sort of hard, fast, like right up there in terms of the best defenses in the league, but he's obviously doing the fair share of heavy lifting to bring it up from probably average best. You play at a high pace, you play at a relatively small sort of thing. I think Valanciunas is pretty much the guys who's steering the ship for yourself. You could probably say Capella, depending on wins for New York. Philly and the Cavs are sort of jostling week in and week out of the best defense in the league. So you probably also have to put Draymond and Allen there, even though it is a bit more of a team effort with those two teams, as it always is with the best defenses. And look, the Bucks are right there as well. I think they're 3rd or 4th best defense. You probably have to put sort of Mobley in there as well. You can maybe sort of give a bit of a shout out to Mitchell Robinson, but they're probably the front runners there, I reckon. Look, you got an early favorite in terms of defensive player of the year.
I think it's Gobert.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, it's just
much like the NBA at the moment. He's just at the top every year, just about.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, it's like the same conversation we were having last year with when we were trying to like pick and choose between him and Bam, like who's more important. And I remember I spent like a good sort of portion of a podcast on it. And now that whole question is just unfortunately being taken away from us, and it's just Gobert, and it's obvious who the most impactful defensive guy there is. And I feel even ashamed for even questioning it, to be honest. But I just wanted to be a bit hot takey in the moment. I think that's probably typical Klemm. But moving on, 6-man, mate. Who are your look? We've got a bit of a running theme here. We touched on who these guys tend to be, but what are some names that come to the top of your mind, sort of thing?
Yeah, 6-man's like a hard one because the rosters are so like in flux at the moment too, with all the COVID stuff and people being out all the time.
That's a good point.
But like going off like prior to the protocols and all that kind of stuff, like you'd have like Zeller for the Kings. He was just covering up like double night in, night out.
Yeah.
He just Cantor Freedom, whatever he calls himself now, is up there for the Roots.
Hey, come on, mate. It's just he's standing up for a just cause there, my friend.
Every time he pops up in game and it says Freedom, it still just takes me by surprise.
Yeah. I'll just call him Ennis.
The register kind of thing.
Yeah. And
but I reckon Dwight Howard's going to re-enter the conversation. He's going to probably see a lot of minutes off the bench.
Oh, when he makes his way over to the Kings, you mean, or is that where
you're going to be staying with Mitty for a while?
Oh, is he? Oh, that's not what I heard.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's like it's a big man award because 2K just loves athletic bigs and they rate so well in the game. They rank in the NSL and everything. So
that's the sort of common denominator here, and what the engine's sort of gearing towards. Just not so much that it's we're seeing like a tipping of a balance, or sort of something that's sort of, or a certain player or a certain player type that's really sort of manipulating or sort of taking advantage. It's just that it's the settings that we have at the moment. It just puts so much emphasis more back onto the fundamentals of basketball, i.e., what tends to work more times than more times than not in game, which is points in the paint, rebounds, second chance points, and just size, and just sort of contesting the rim and everything, protecting the paint, and just sort of not giving up those easy points. So the teams that have got these sort of monster bigs, athletic bigs that are coming off the bench, they're just eating these these second units up for breakfast, sort of thing. And even like this year, that like even just a half flaccid, like limp dick attempt at contesting any sort of shot just means brick city for days. So any big guy who's putting his hands up, who's 7 foot tall, is just going to be causing nightmares for bench units. And I'm got a front row ticket to the Z train and all his glory as well with that one. So I speak from experience. It's pretty much everything that's going right with my team at the moment. So I'll hang my hat on that one there. Z Train, my boy, please come back soon. Get better, please come back soon. But we'll move on. Yeah, so that's 6-man, obviously. Look, we'll go rookie of the year, most improved, and we'll end with GM of the year, because that's always everyone likes to hear the sort of name mentioned up in the light. So look, rookie of the year, what do you got one of the front runners there, so I'll get you to take that one, mate. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's like honestly just Mobley's award to lose, and I don't think he will lose it.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Well, he's
literally gonna be one of those fucking like.
No, he's literally everything we've been talking about, like athletic bigs. He's like so good in game. He's anchoring the Bucks defense. He's putting up like 13 and 10 a game with nearly 2 blocks a game, 1.7 blocks a game on 60% from the field. Like, you can't ask for much more than that from your rookie big man when he first enters. But apart from that, like I'd have like Kispert, he's doing well for the Clips. Cade's coming along for the Lakers now as well.
Yeah.
I think like I'd love to say Barnes is there. I think he's in the top 5. I don't think he's in the top 3 at the moment. he's not efficient enough in game, and he's not developed enough at the moment. I don't think.
Yeah, no, you're right. Looking at it now, I think this is one of those solid corn dog calls of the week. Yeah, I think we just ran so many sims where Barnes has just absolutely fucking melted me like on so many occasions. I just think he's like putting up fucking 20 and 10, but like, yeah, he's actually putting up some pretty classic sort of rookie numbers. And you're right,
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head. In an engine that's sort of so geared toward certain players. I guess at least sort of efficiency wise on the offensive end. Yeah, I think it's Mobley who's right there. I mean, he's ranked. He's pushing top 40 in the NSL. Yeah, like double double a night. Nearly 2 blocks a game, 61% from the field. He's just so good, even in the NBA. Like, obviously you were singing his praises and singing his tune for some time, and then I sort of jumped on the bandwagon and realized like you weren't just out of your mind. He's so good, man.
He's unreal, man. He's honestly like,
him, man. I could just watch him play def. I could just watch him just disrupt offenses for like fucking an hour straight, man. Like, and then just
and you can see why people like that. I don't know if you would have known, but like there was a lot of talk going into the draft about how like some people have him ranked number 1 over Cade and have him over Jalen Green and stuff. Like you can see.
Yeah, but it wasn't a shell. I mean, it was a top heavy draft. Yeah, we all knew that. And you just hear that all the time, and you just don't know if it's smoke and mirrors or if it's like a guy that has a lot of promise on the defensive end, which is different from Mobley. Like there's guys who you're like, oh, like Barnes. Like Barnes has promise on the defensive end, just with his length, his sort of IQ, and generally speaking, if you're that advanced on one end of the ball, the other end of the ball is going to, or the end of the game, sort of going to catch up in some. It's pretty rare to have a lead IQ on one end and then just be a fucking like dead shit on the other. Like that's kind of like, that's like hard, like Harden, sort of level like a Westbrook type thing. Just guys that, you're sort of like, I don't understand how you're not at least passable, but Barnes has promise. Those guys have promise. Same with Tatum coming in has promise. Like Levine. These guys have promise, and they've become average or slightly better defenders. The position while doing everything else. Mobley's come in, and there was all the praise about it and all the hype about him being and then as soon as you hear that, you just automatically think, oh, like why is he fucking abysmal is he raw as on the offensive end? That's the only thing you're hanging your hat on. The dude is like it's got a good like mid-range game, knows where to be, like can finish with both hands, finish through contact, just so athletic, so like silky smooth, like just has such control of his body, like which is so weird to see, like with the guy that sort of like with his frame. And on the defensive end, like it's like apparent. Like I remember you were sort of crapping on saying, oh, he's like as good as AD, even better, and I'm like, corn dog, just chill the fuck out, man. Like you're fucking getting a bit raucous with these calls of your sort of thing. Like it was midway after you built the Wolves into like this fucking juggernaut that they are and everything, and you were simming and everything was like fucking sim pretty, and then you were like, I thought you were just like whiffing your own farts, and you're like, yeah, Mobley next AD. And I'm like, all right, fuck, corn dog. Like I love you, mate, but just chill the fuck out. I watched Mobley like just YouTube highlights. I'm like 2 minutes in, and I was like, holy fucking shit, man, this guy. And I was like more than comfortable to sit there and say like, yeah, like he could be better than Davis. Like he could be better than this guy. Could be better than that guy. And I'm sitting there going like, fuck, man, he's like what you see when you saw sort of like Draymond, like Drew, like like those kind of guys come in where you're like, oh, this dude's just gonna get out of bed, like roll out of bed every day, and he's gonna be in the league for 15 years, like just on that defense. Yeah. Like it's
all the like podcasty social media type people now saying like what's his ceiling? Like is he going to reach like Kevin Garnett levels, like prime KG and stuff? Like
I mean, even KG, like KG was good. And again, elite IQ and everything, like he's just absolute freak show of an athlete and he's sort of just physical gifts. But I wouldn't sort of necessarily like, great timing, everything, and he was a killer, like, and he put in the work. But I wouldn't necessarily say like KG was like this fucking like defensive savant, and look, to be honest, that could very well have been that he was just carrying that Wolves side mini side and doing everything else, and then defense comes second in a lot of sort of I guess situations where you're sort of a young franchise star sort of running the show. But Mobley's just got that thing where he's like, he was like a handful of games in, and you could surely teams would be already scouting him, already game planning for him. He's like throwing like seasoned veterans off, like driving to the rim, trying to get like maneuver around him, and he's just fucking like playing chess while they're playing checkers. And this guy has barely seen a minute of NBA basketball, and he's already in dudes' heads. Like, it's so crazy, man. And those kind of guys, as soon as they step on the court, you just see how much of a difference like it makes to their team, and just how better they are. Like, it's so crazy, man. And obviously we saw it firsthand when Mobley went down for that stretch, and the Cavs were fucking like trash, man. Like, it was like, oh, Cavs, they had a nice fucking, little start. All right, we'll see you lottery time sort of thing. That was short lived. Mobley comes back, bang, and it's just instantaneous sort of thing.
He's changed the whole team. Like, I haven't been this excited about a Cavs team so long. Like, I just love watching all our games at the moment.
I watch Cavs is right up there in terms of the teams that I'm watching the most, man. Like, the young teams that are like just fun to watch sort of thing. If you're not sort of including like the sort of big contenders and everything, like Charlotte, Cavs, well, I mean, Hawks have been a bit of a letdown. It's pretty much them two teams. Bulls, I guess. But you probably
Bulls have been fun.
Yeah, Bulls Wizards early on were fun sort of thing. They have their sort of moments here and there. But it's pretty much them two teams, I reckon, has been like the most fun to watch. I'm having a quick look now just while I'm sort of gas bagging, but I don't want to leave anyone out. But yeah, it's pretty much Cavs. I'll tune into a Cavs game or a Charlotte game over pretty much any team right now, sort of thing, and watch the whole game through. Because it's just highlights the whole way through. Yeah, man, pretty much them two. I mean,
yeah, I think they're
and Memphis, I guess.
Yeah,
they're probably the three teams sort of thing that that I have a lot of fun watching. But yeah, look. So what was that? So that was Defensive Player of the Year.
Rookie of the Year.
Sorry, Rookie of the Year. Yeah. So you're right. I can't see why Mobley wouldn't win it. He's just putting up all the numbers, sort of things. No one that's really that close, unless he gets injured or something. Touch wood. Most improved. Look, I don't want to spend too much time on that.
I hate this award at the moment. So it's
still
too hard.
It's almost just like a formality sort of thing. And there's just with the COVID, it's hard. Guys aren't playing. Guys are in and out. So you sort of, a guy will put up a couple of good weeks. We're like, fuck, man, like this dude's killing it. And then for whatever reason, he's either misses time or he has to be moved back to the bench because some other guys are out, and then he just sort of disappears a little bit in rotation for some teams. But I'll have a quick sort of breeze through and see if I can sort of think. I mean, I know it's sacrilege to sort of say to bring up any sophomore guys in terms of most improved, but you really got to sort of consider Ball up there with that one there. Let's see. I mean, I guess Fox.
One who could be pretty sneaky if he can stay healthy too is Levert. He's been putting up ridiculous numbers for Indiana lately.
True. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, because he had all last year pretty much off due to injury and whatnot. Yeah, you could probably also say, I mean, he's gone on. He's with you boys now. But early on with the Cavs, Bog was putting up some crazy numbers. Like 22, fucking 6 and 5 or some shit for the Cavs running point out there. So you could almost say that. I mean, I don't
think he's won it back-to-back years though.
Oh yeah, that's right. He fucking won last year. See how much I don't care about it. But yeah,
it's just a weird award. Especially in the 2K world, it's a weird award.
Yeah, you just because you're not following the same sort of narratives and everything at the same time, like with that one there, and it's so temperamental, and it just swings so much with the engine in terms of guys. So there's probably a fair few sort of big guys like, I'm just off the top of my head, like Allen for the Cavs. All right, this is probably the easiest way to do it. I'll go all the player rankings by position, and there will be surely some guys that will just sort of stick out in terms of guys that weren't up there before. I mean, I know Fox was decent last year for New York, but he's in the top 25 territory type thing for Philly now, and it's really going to be just him doing everything and just guys defending, and just him and Hayward, and then just everyone just defending out there. I mean, who else we got? Van Fleet probably for Toronto. He was solid enough for Dallas, but it wasn't really a guard-friendly engine last year. So small guards and everything. Maybe Powell for Houston.
That's one I was.
He's killing it. Fournier is going to put up some numbers with Pete, depending on how long he stays there for. Even Brooks for Detroit, he was doing sweet fuck all last year, and now he's putting up some numbers. Brown for Memphis, top 30. I know he's doing pretty well last year, but Levert, you're right there. In a pretty shallow, retrospectively, by comparison, in a pretty shallow position in terms of overall talent at the 3. This is not as stacked as the sort of front and back court there. So Levert might get some love there. That's pretty much.
I've got one for you that might be a decent candidate.
Randall
Carter Jr.
Yeah.
7.3 points per game last year, up to 11.6 this year. 7.6 rebounds last year, 10.7 this year.
Yeah, I mean he's probably he's pretty much doubled more or less his output. It just doesn't have that sort of like shock value type thing where you sort of see. I was thinking Randall there. I just checked his numbers and they're not as good as what I thought. I mean, Tatum was decent last year as well.
I hate this one.
Yeah, it's pretty much it, man. I'm not even gonna fucking spend that much time on it. That's pretty much it.
Jam of the year. I think you can pick like the top 7 in both conferences at the moment.
I mean, look,
there's more than that too, but you look at the top 7 in each conference, and it's
look, the sort of the Mount Rushmore of GM of the year candidates that were there last year and probably will be there for some time. Obviously, J-Mac, JJ, Craig, Jesse, both with just how well his team's going, especially after last year. They were sort of touch and go for a little bit there and sort of had their struggles. He's obviously, me and him were toiling away in the DMs, and now he's a bit too cool for school for me. He leaves me on scene on too many occasions. Me trying to reach out to old mate Jesse, so he's he doesn't mess with the commoners anymore. So that's good signs for him, I guess. But look, it's pretty much usually Andrew. The guys that I probably want to shout out and spend a little bit of a second on out west specifically, yourself, just with obviously the moves made, how quick the turnaround, how the team's going, just the team chemistry, how quickly you sort of put together a long-term or seemingly long-term contending team that's not going to be going anywhere. So yourself, Rootsy's, obviously stuck to his guns. I've always admired that. I've always take the time to mention that things are clicking for him. Finally, we've hit an engine that really sort of is tailored to his dynamic, versatile sort of wings that can play in multiple positions, and he's just running guys off the court, even with outs. Doesn't matter. He's just got so many studs on that team. You'd probably even give a bit of a roughy sort of pat on the back to Digger. Once Clay gets back, he's got the Splash Bros going, even with Michael Porter Jr. out and trading Turner. They got Willie Hernan Gomez, who's like inexplicably just putting up absolute monster stats. He's like top 50, top 60. I think from memory, he's getting like 15 boards.
I was floating with the idea of trading Siakam to Denver just because I had some pieces that I was in my stupid Siakam phase where I was just sick of him.
But then don't make excuses. Denver is probably my top 3 or 4 teams that I very regularly peruse the goods and try and run a few things, 1 or 2 or 20 mocks through the trade machine to try and get a deal working. So I'm in agreement with yourself. They got a lot of pieces.
Digger hits me back and he goes, "Why would I want to pay Siakam like 3 times what I'm paying Willie Hernan Gomez for the same effort?" I don't even have an answer for you right now.
Yeah, I guess that's. I mean, it's like, "Hello, darkness, my old friend." So them guys, you can
just drilling it in that little bit further on me that
I know, man. I know.
Getting to work.
Those glitch dudes, you can just. They're so hard to. They're great to have them and to sort of ride the wave of ride the glitch wave. It's it's a rush. No better feeling, of course. I've been doing it nonstop for like 8 years now. And not getting very far, but it's still a great ride. And I make sure I tell everyone about it. But those glitch guys, they're so hard to get off guys because they're so hard to value, and there's the only way you ever get those guys is if you pay like $1.80 on the dollar, which just more you sit there like for hours in front of the trade machine and you just can't justify giving up that much value for a guy like that when like next year he's going to be like putting up 4 and 2 like or something, so like, and probably waived, and more or less they're on 1-year deals and blah blah blah. Like I was cheesing on Parker for the first few weeks, and now he got waived by Boston, and now I'm fucked, sort of thing. So I should have moved him before, but if I was to move him, then I would have got maybe 10 GMs for him, sort of thing. So it's kind of hard with those ones there. But yeah, I'd love to have a bit of Willie over in Sacktown with that one there. But he's killer. He's making it. He's pretty much covered all the gaps in terms of their front court or their lack of front court there. And it's actually quite impressive, but also just startling that they're even in the race when they're stringing together front court mids between Powell, Muscala, Willie and like that's it, sort of thing. So maybe Prince, I don't know. So they get Clay back. So you could give Digger some props there for sticking to his guns and just unleashing hell and fury on the NSL world when that day comes, which will be next week. And probably Viticus, another team that's that I admire, like Rootsy, who sticks to his guns, etc. Has a really particular type of going about things. We'll wrap things up with that one there. Out west, and then out east, look, Sheed with all the outs, Curry in and out, with all these drama, and obviously Jesse, with not Jesse. Oh, both Jesse and Josh with the moves they've made, and also just the teams that they've put together as well. And I'd sort of give a bit of a quieter shout out to Daz and for pulling that team out of the fucking the depths of the lottery fucking hell that Wolf subdued them to for so many years, and was happy to keep doing it so long. And obviously Dylan there, who's putting together another. He's simmering. He's biding his time, but he's putting together a bit of a beast of a team there, I think. Out east. Look, moving on. Fuck all that noise. We'll touch on some trades, and I think we'll wrap it up. And we'll wrap up our first pod for the 2021 and 22 season. But trades, mate. Look, I sent you a whole bunch of just out of context screenshots because I'm all about that. You're normally clued in enough to be able to make some sense about him. unlike some others. But look, we may as well just run through it all. Well, why not? But I'll work from the start of the season onwards. Look, the first one is between yourself and the Lakers. This was to get Bogdan Bogdanovic for Alec Burks and Lonnie Walker, which look, you are talking a bit of salary, which is fine. I can see the reason why the Lakers did it. Lonnie Walker is a nice prospect. What's Bogdan sort of doing for them? It's sort of the wrong timeline. They're paying him a lot of money for, effectively to be winning games when they don't want to be winning games. So I get that. Alec Burks, nice salary filler, nice guy I can trade on with, and he's not going to be moving the needle too much. You can sort of bury him in rotation. I think it's a not a clear, but at least in terms of sort of motives from both yourself and the Lakers, I think it's a win on your end. Just get a guy like Bogdan over to shore up the rotation. You're not getting a whole lot from Lonnie. Some spot minutes here and there, some nice but flawed minutes. And Burks is he's a rotation guy. He's going to be shooting some threes and sort of just filling out. Maybe spot starter minutes here and there if you've got any injuries. But Bogdan, you can legit sort of game plan around him and sort of include him in the starting lineup or have him go back to the bench and really be a legit six man with some offensive punch pretty much from all over the court, and he can play make a little bit as well. He's got some size, so it's a nice pickup for yourself. Just quickly, what were the motives there? What did you see? Why'd you go after?
Pretty much exactly what you touched on at the end. I just wanted some offense off the bench because when I went to my bench unit, we were often cratering, and that's why I went and made another trade that we'll probably touch on as well, just to show up the rotation and the ball handling situation and make sure it's always in the hands of the right players instead of the computer trying to figure out who the heck.
It was a nice sort of hedge move sort of thing. Some sort of I guess in a stopgap instance, you could run him at point off the bench, or you can handle the ball maybe next to a sort of lesser point guard or maybe a combo guard sort of thing, and they can sort of make do in the meantime. But you'd have no issues with bringing him into the starting lineup and worrying, fuck, how's this going to go, this sort of thing. You've got no issues with that. So I would anticipate that we're going to see some hefty minutes both off the bench and starting with Bogdan for yourself, just as you play around a little bit. So I've seen a bit of that behind the scenes as well, and it's not too pretty from my perspective. So can't wait for more of that. We'll go on. We'll touch on the next one there. You can run through that one, mate. Just the Bucks and Raptors deal.
Bucks and Raps, yeah. So PJ Tucker and a first for Reggie Jackson, and it is a Washington 23 first. They've got Booker and Embiid on contract for however long. They've got Desmond Bain, Aaron Gordon. It's not going to be a very good first. It's going to be closer to a second than anything. Yeah. And Reggie, he's even Daz touched on it when the trade went down. He's one of the better backup guards, 6 months.
I was trying for him for a bit, so I was a bit bitter on that one when I saw that one go through.
Yeah.
And I knew because I was fishing around and he was pretty he's pretty sold on getting a first for him, and he was saying, and I didn't know if he was just talking shit, as we all do, saying, "Oh, I've got an offer of a good wing and a first, mate. We'll go take it then." So you took it, obviously, and I had nothing close to that in terms of offering that. So good on him. It doesn't seem like he's anywhere near as potent this year. The Raps are sort of, not by choice, just because they've got so many injuries are running him. I think pretty sure either at a starting point or off the bench, and he's not, he'll do. They're not abysmal, but obviously that's not going to be a first choice in this engine. So Jesse will find his role, and it'll be a bit more limited role, but it's a solid get, I think, for Jesse. Just doing much the same as yourself, just shoring up the rotation there. Bit of a live update, which I was low-key hoping, but not really expecting to jump over to the Dallas Kings game and just hopefully we just beating the fucking shit out of them. But they just hit a three to level it up 59 all. So that's awesome. KD's probably on, KD is on 26. No one else has scored above 6 points. So Vooch can have fun with that one there. I'm probably not going to watch any of that for the rest of this pod, but getting back to the trades.
We got yours in Portland next.
Yeah, next one. Yeah, so look, one of a few. This is just a classic Klemm J-Mac deal where just dudes were thrown in. Like, I don't even know if half these guys are really necessary, but apparently at the time it was, sort of thing. But we're two just maverick renegades, just flying at the seat of our pants, and all our deals pretty much come down to 2 guys that we want, and then having to throw in another 17 players, to finally juggle the fucking salary because we're both nearly hard capped. Like, fuck, like, sort of thing. Like, so look, it kills me and continues to kill me seeing Morris just light it up, especially with PG and all that out for the clips. He's putting up like 28 and fucking whatever. When even I was warming up to the idea of thinking he was a bit washed. But he is on 3 years. He is on a decent contract, and in game he's always going to be pretty solid, at least off the bench. And you can start him without it being too much of an issue. Looking at the numbers on, in terms of the lineups I was running before I traded him, some of my best defensive lineups were with Morris at the 3, but defensively it wasn't that great. But I needed to have a guy like Covington come in who was a bit more low maintenance, a bit more of a specialist, and was able just to shore up the front line out in the perimeter, especially when I'm playing pretty big with Vooch at the 4 as well. With Morris out there, he's just doing bonehead shit all the time, and then and then they blow past Morris, and then Vooch is like fucking somehow like got his back to them or something, and then they just dunk over him or some shit like that. And then it was happening all the time. So at least Covington like sort of follows him, and then Vooch eventually like figures out where he's meant to be and maybe comes over to help, sort of thing. So it's at least the defense is shored up. Bembray, I think, is a bit of a sneaky get. He's getting some minutes for the Nets, and he's I only think 2K is he's nice in 2K in terms of a rotation guy, or like a bottom of the rotation guy. But I think next year, if I have him around, he'll be a bit more solid. And then the other dudes are just fucking nobodies. Obviously, I sent over Bazemore, Reeves, and Landale. The second that Landale landed on the shores of Portland, he started just putting up like double doubles for the Spurs, the NBA, of course. So, J-Mac was keeping me updated, of course, game by game. So that was great. That was great. And now I've got no bigs, so it would have been great. Anyway, so that was just by I guess means to an end type thing. Chime in if you have any thoughts on it, type deal. But you're pretty much right there with all my trade discussions anyway, so we're pretty much on the same page. Next one, OKC Spurs. If you want to run through that one quickly, not a whole lot.
Yeah, so Spurs got Seth, and then OKC got JaMychal Green at first and a second.
In sort of like typical Thanos, that level of Thanos tiered teams, Curry's come in and he's just putting up like 17, 5 and 4, shooting like 65% for the Spurs. We're just accustomed to these sort of like 7th or 8th men coming into these teams and just honey dicking the fuck out of all of us. So we overpay for these dudes, and they come on our teams and they fucking put up 30%, like shooting like 7. Yeah. Anyway, bit of a spoiler there. I'm trying to get Curry on my team, so But yeah, so what are your thoughts on that one? Solid deal.
It's a solid deal. Like, OKC, you get a first and a decent rotation play out there, kind of like
any first to Curry is solid. Let alone
I think
second.
OKC are like in the weird middle ground where they've got like these nice pieces where they can be like a really good team, but they've also got like a lot of young talent at the time that they could condense to push them further, or sell the older pieces to go the other way and rebuild further.
Which he pretty much was doing all last year as well, sort of thing. But and I'm constantly talking to him. Wiz knows what's going on, man. and we can sit here and be like, what are they doing? 140 and 140. I don't even know what they're doing, but he's just not rushing it, man. Like, there's no point in rushing it. And if you were winning games and then there was pressure to pull a trigger in some fashion, then you'd be like, dude, like, come on, you got to consolidate, like type thing. But you're just limiting yourself now if he was right in the race, but he's not. And Kemba's a bit touch and go. It's sort of, I've been sort of seduced by trying to, sort of go hard at him, and then I've sort of looked at the numbers and looked at the games, and I'm like, he's a bit sort of fool's gold with just the numbers he's putting up. Volume, sort of small guard, shooting like 30-something%. He's not shooting that great from three. Maybe he's kind of somewhat the reason that they're not that consistent. But yeah, I've sort of been talking a bit. It's like admittedly,
double header right now.
What's that?
Sacramento Kings double header right now.
Mate, don't do it to me, man.
Versus the Lakers.
I remember the years where I'd just be like fucking frothing at the mouth at a double header, a good old double header. Like, who doesn't love a double header? But now LJ and his fucking band of merry men are just fucking. Okay, well, they just got a 3-second offensive call, so that makes me feel a little bit better. But yeah, so that's at home, and then obviously is the Lakers game. I bet you the Lakers games I'm gonna get towed by 2 fucking lottery teams at home. Nah, that's away. All right, so I got some sort of excuse there. All right, anyway, back to it. So, so Seth Curry, yeah, good deal, all good. Get a first Curry. You do it any day of the week. Next one, Pacers and Wizards. Wizards get Rose and Bogdanovic, who's been solid off the bench for him. Rose is going to be missing extended period of time, which sucks. And the Pacers get back Ball, which is a solid get. Ross has just come alive for the Orlando Magic, as he does every season, mid-season form. So solid deal all around. I think I'd sort of give the nod to the Pacers. Obviously,
well, this is all a part of the Embiid Towns deal as well.
Like, Well, that's it. So in a nutshell, if you're looking at this, you'd be like, fuck, Spud, finally got one, and then you realize, oh no, he traded his once in a generation, big man, and crux of his team. So of course he gets back Ball, sort of thing. So it all sort of washes out in the end. We'll move on, and then we'll put a bow on this one, I think. But next one, 3-teamer. Cavs get CJ, giving up Fournier and Fultz, and 3 first-rounders. Look, it's a Detroit first-rounder, Phoenix first-rounder, and 25 Cleveland 2026 first-rounder. So you're all looking at, sort of, I don't know.
Mid to late, you'd think.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, probably the Detroit pick in 2023 would probably be your best bet at being like, sort of mid to late, like in the 15 to 22 range, maybe. Gobert a couple of years older. Who knows with Irving, sort of thing. They're pretty top heavy type deal. But she's not an idiot. He's not going to just roll over and just not do nothing for the next couple of years. But Phoenix and Cleveland, 25, 26, that's pretty much right in the ballpark on when they're going to be hitting stride and just bending everyone over. So look, but it's 3 first for CJ with half a lung.
Can't knock it up.
Yeah, you've got to do that deal. And then obviously, Pete.
I think it's like insane value for CJ. Like it's
100%.
Fournier Fultz is like
just currency alone. Yeah, just like you see what like first get Curry, Reggie. These are 80 rated sort of guys in their prime on a couple of years. Yeah, if you just sort of like more or less factor out those 3 first and to like 3 decent rotation guys, or even like an 82, 83 guy, you've just pretty much traded CJ. He's 30, 31, 32, has his limitations in game. He's a killer, but you can't really play him at the 1, can't really play him at the 2 without it being problematic in some way, shape or form. And you just trade him for Fournier, Fultz, who's still young as, could be like a franchise type guy.
Fultz was lighting it up before he got injured, the most recent time. Like he's
a big guard with a good skill set. He's pass first guy. It's not going to hurt you as long as he's healthy in game. He's one of those typical guys that's just going to put up numbers and just be like a winning guy. So who knows what happens in the league, but I hope he gets better. Fournier, nice salary filler for any future deals. He's a solid wing. He's there for a few years, could stick around. Who knows? But it's a good contract to have for these teams that are sort of on the cusp of either rebuilding or fully or balls deep in a rebuild, because it means you're not going to be giving up young assets or value to try and make a deal work when you probably didn't have to, sort of thing. Chucking in a couple guys to make it work when you've got a guy like Fournier, and look, a good third or plus of the league would have no problems taking on Fournier and would pay decent value for him. He's not a declining asset in any way.
Is that you trying to plant a seed to pistol there?
For Fournier,
yeah.
I don't even think I can take him back. I know because I've checked.
Oh yeah, that's right. You signed and traded him, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Well, then the other side of the
deal now.
The other side of the deal, he like pistol move Portis and
Portis is nice, but he's looking for a payday. So he's going to be theoretically, because he's on like a 1-on-1, I think, with the assumption he's probably going to stay at the Bucks. Yeah, and he's killing it, and the Bucks would be silly to let him go. I don't think they will, but yeah, he signed that deal on the assumption that to help them out in terms of just how they had their book structured to be getting like paid next season. So so I just don't think Pete's sort of stacked for young bigs, sort of thing with Vanderbilt and Bumbo and whatnot. So he's not hurting for bigs, and he's not going to be really that fond of paying close to 40 mil for Portis. So yeah,
I think overall when you look at it, it's just insane value though. Like Fournier, Fulton, 5 firsts for McCollum and Portis. That's just
I think I'm pretty sure I saw it was spoiled in the Discord channels for me in terms of what the haul was, and I thought people were taking the piss sort of thing. So but it was in fact like 3 firsts and those guys sort of thing for CJ. So look, to be fair though, Fultz he's injured, he's young, but he's already had a few sort of injuries and some dramas and red flags. Even though he was lighting it up prior to his latest sort of mishap. But and Fournier, look, he has had a lackluster year to say the least for the Knicks. Hasn't really sort of held his value, but he's still an 80-ish rated guy. He's going to be nice in game, good glue guys, whatnot. And looking at it's just closed on me now, but fuck. And then obviously J-Mac got Portis and a couple seconds. I don't know fucking how he wrangled that shit, but gave up a couple firsts. He's got another 7 anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Minnesota 26 first is like pick 30 by that point.
Your 26 first?
I hope that's going to be like pick 30.
Well, we hope so. Like, and everyone in that pool is not in any sort of like is all aware that that's probably going to be the case, sort of thing. But next one we did touch on before. You obviously added Rondo and Porter. Just a deal that makes a whole lot of sense. Sends out Naz Reid. You're stacked in the bigs department. You got Stewart there already. Val is blowing up. Pascal obviously taking minutes there, and Dwight. Sort of at least for this year, taking a lion's share of the rest. So he was probably the old man out. You wouldn't have been able to afford him in the near future anyway. So you get Porter, who's in game he's a beast. Rondo as well with the badges, even if it isn't anything close to playoff Rondo, but that's exactly what you needed. Sort of a big sort of guy who can play the 3 or 4, who can shoot, defend, rebound. Another dude is just 6'9" or above, sort of thing for your team of fucking aliens, and Rondo, who's an actual point guard who can run the offense, behind ball, obviously, and give you some nice playmaking badge cheese all game round. Porter's obviously killing it for you, so you do that deal any day of the week. And obviously that pull in 2025 second, I mean, look, that could come back to bite you in the ass, but look, your window's now, so fuck it, I say. So send out whatever you need. Next one. And this was the other part of the that deal before that we thought Spud had a leg up. So obviously Karl Anthony Towns for Joel Embiid. We'll just move on to the next one there. And then, so Cavs killing it again. Dylan just pillaging. Wiggins for Sadaransky and Brogdon. Look, I sort of was there more to this deal, because I kind of
there was a little bit.
I think there was like a pick, mate. I think there was a first, surely. Like, I'm pretty sure, because I remember looking at it and I was sniffing around Wiggins. And look, I can't sit here and pretend like I had some package that he just fucking, turned a cheek out and then just took the lesser package type deal. But it just didn't. I was like, oh, it wasn't that far off. And I was like, fuck, I wish I just had a bit more time. But yeah, look, Dill kills it with getting Wiggins. He's a absolute freak show in game, and he is killing it in the league as well. Nice two-way guy. Yeah, so what? You're paying him, 20 mil, but you got to pay like two or three guys that kind of money, sort of thing. And what's he putting up for the Cavs? Well, I haven't even looked, but like, you just know that he's going to be putting up numbers for the fucking Cavs, sort of thing. And he's a guy that if they weren't stacked as fuck, then Wiggins on, like, say, Utah, I'll be putting up 32 a game. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't understand the whole hoo-ha about, at the time, where it's like, whoa, what are you paying him that much? I'm like, yeah, he's dropping fucking, 20, like 24 and 4, for the Cavs, sort of thing. Like, of course you do. Like, he's putting up nearly, like 11, 12 points in the paint for a wing. That's massive. Yeah, getting to the line, it's not too bad from three. 44% from the field from a wing, like, at volume. Like, that's the crux of whether you're going to be, a sort of top 4-6 side, or whether you just split around down the bottom, sort of thing. So, and he can play the 2, 3, or even 4 if necessary. So I think that was a huge win for Cavs. Another big one. Look, the next one was the Dame deal, which shocked the NSL world. I think it was probably the right move for Benny and Philly. They weren't lighting the league on fire, and they had their sort of roster before was a little bit clunky, a little bit like, oh, where are you going with this? Benny's not the one to sort of be wheeling and dealing on the reg. So he normally makes his one or two big deals and makes a couple sort of end of rotation deals. Maybe ships another second or 2 or 10 throughout the season, sort of thing. But gets Melton, Fox, and 3 first rounders. Actual like maybe decent first rounders this time, with the 2022 Orlando first, which will be nice. 23 OKC, which might be mid, but who knows what happens there. And obviously your 2026, can't really be expecting too much with that one there. But and obviously the Knicks get Dame, and they get a Bulls 2022 first. It's a bit of a cherry on top. So who do you reckon won that deal? I guess that's more one of the bigger sort of big deals that we had, I guess, so far.
I think picking a winner is hard because, like Smokey, he needed to condense a bit because he had so many assets and he wanted to take the next step up, and he got the superstar, which is a win.
Yeah.
Because like getting superstars isn't easy in the NSL, and everyone knows that. Like, they're so hard to get.
Yeah.
But then, Ben also got like good value.
I threw up by 9 points. Anyway, yeah, continue.
Yeah, Ben got good value as well. Like, Fox is a good player, got some decent picks. I think like if I was to pick a winner, I would pick Smokey, just for the fact that it's a freaking
star power. Yeah,
like, it's just so hard to come by, but the return that Ben got was good.
Yeah. I mean, early on with Dame, and because he had that hernia issue and Portland was sucking, I was like, wow, maybe this is just one of those sort of like classic, really abrupt sort of falls from grace for a small guard who relies a lot on his sort of speed and athleticism. We saw it with Westbrook, saw it with, I'm not going to say Wall, but we saw it when he was injured, and sort of we sort of saw him peak early, and then when he lost that little bit of a step, it was really obvious. Guys like that. But he's just he just had a fucking hernia, sort of thing. Like we just forget, like oh yeah, these cunts are just human as well. Dude's playing NBA basketball with a fucking hernia. I wouldn't even be able to get out of bed in the morning, but. So he's come into form. Obviously, he's back to himself. But in game, I think Fox I guess it's still a huge gap in terms of badges, in terms of closing time, in terms of clutch and everything in game. But the gap between Fox and Dame in the NBA is a lot further, I think, than what it is in game here in 2K.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and I just think just sort of Fox with his speed and sort of and everything. Yeah, I just sort of think I don't really think. Well, Philly are doing great now, sort of thing. A few other things have gone their way and everything, but yeah, it might have been that they sort of needed that more attacking sort of points in the pace type sort of guard rather than a guy shooting from the perimeter, and surrounded by a sort of bigger, slower, sort of older specialist or sort of defensive sort of thing. So it sort of opened up things for them in terms of their offense, and I think they're actually sort of a bit better with that one there. And yeah, I'm not going to bother looking at the numbers, but yeah, I think sort of right now, obviously Smokey, we'll see what he can do with Dame and everything, but he's got his star guys and he's got a team that's probably a bit more equipped to utilize Dame to his full potential, and vice versa for Benny. So it's good that he's he's not staring down the barrel of a gun of those aging superstars in Dame and LeBron, and he's probably taken the pressure off a little bit in terms of opening his horizons with where he's going to take his team. All right, well,
I've probably got to leave it there. My laptop's about to die.
Easy, man. All the other deals were, we know all the deals sort of thing. I think we hit on the main one. So, all right, man. Been a long slog. I appreciate it. Well, of course, we've went a bit overboard as we always do. We're chatting away, but we'll leave it at that, mate. Good to get on the waves with you. We can't leave.
Do it again more often.
Exactly right. All right, mate. Peace out. Go Wolves.
See you, bro.
And kind of Kings, kind of, I don't know. Like,
go Kings.
Cheers, mate. Catch.
See you, bro.